In this lesson, we're going to graph quadratic functions. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the properties of a graph of a quadratic function. So we have y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. And something that we learned yesterday is that if a was greater than 0, it opened going up. And we learned that, and this is right here, that if its a is less than 0, that it opens going down. So we know that if we have a negative here, that is going to flip it. A negative is going to flip it. And it flips over that x-axis. Now, we also learned that if this a right here is greater than 1, and actually we should say the absolute value of a is greater than 1, that it was thinner. And we learned that if the absolute value of a is less than 1, that it became wider. And we learned that the c moved our graph up and down. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to talk about our vertex. So our vertex, we have a formula, and how we find our formula, or our vertex. Our vertex is this negative b all over 2a. And then to get our, and that's going to be our x value. For our y value, we're going to just plug it in. We'll plug it into the equation that we're given. And that is our y value. All right, so this will probably make a little bit more sense when we actually plug this in for you. All right, so for question number 1, we're going to graph y is equal to negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 7. Now remember in our formula, we have y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to start by identifying our a, our b, and our c. So our a is going to be equal to negative 2. Our b is going to be equal to 12. And our c is going to be equal to negative 7. And so the first thing we're going to do then is we're going to identify then the vertex. And we're going to plug it into this formula that we have up here to find the value of x. And so we're going to take the negative b plus, or all over 2a. So our negative b, well, b is 12. So we'll have negative 12 all over 2. And we're saying a is negative 2. All right, so we have negative 12 divided by negative 4. So our x's value is going to be 3, because remember it's a point. This vertex is an x and a y, and so our x is going to be 3. So now to find the y value then, we have to plug it in. So we're going to plug it back into our original equation. So I'm just going to write it down here. Y is equal to negative 2, and then we've got times, well, our x we're saying then is 3, so we're going to plug it in here for 3. So we have 3 squared plus 12 times 3 minus 7. So when you simplify that, just plug that in your calculator, you're going to get that the y value is equal to 11. So our vertex point is 3, 11. So what we want to do then is we want to then graph our vertex. So let's walk over to the 3, go up 11. All right, so this right here then, this is our vertex. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to identify what we call the line of symmetry. It's going to go straight down through the parabola. And so our line of symmetry is going to look like this. It's going to go straight down through here. And so if I were to write an equation for that line that goes straight down, it would be x is equal to 3. It's a vertical line, and it goes through the x. So our line of symmetry is x is equal to 3. Now remember we said that this number right here, this value, it controls what goes up and down. That's our y-intercept. So our y-intercept then, let's identify that. Our y-intercept here is negative 7. So let's go down to negative 7. All right, and because it's the line of symmetry, if I'm at a -7 there, all the way over here, then I'm also going to have a -7. So notice that we're going to then have this parabola that comes up and around. Oops, I don't know, it should be a little bit better than that, but that's all right. And our y-intercept then, I should have identified then as 0, -7. Question number 2, let's graph 4x squared minus 16x plus 14. We'll start out by assigning the variables. A is equal to 4, B is equal to -16, and C will be equal to 14. All right, then let's, first of all, let's find the vertex. All right, so -16 will become 16 for the B, all over 2A, which is 4. All right, so 16 divided by 8 is equal to 2. So our x value is going to be equal to 2. And then remember, we need to go back and we need to plug it in to our original equation here. All right, then once we get done simplifying that, you will end up having -2. All right, so then that means that our vertex is at 2, -2. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's find the line of symmetry. Go straight up and down through the vertex. And so that means that the line of symmetry is x is equal to 2, the vertical line. Now our y-intercept then, remember that is this number right here without the variable. So our y-intercept is going to be 0, 14. And then let's go ahead and graph that. All right, so it goes off of our graph here. And then, so based on our line of symmetry, that should be where that vertex, or where the parabola is going to then go on the other side. And here we have then our graph. All right, now I'd like for you to pause the video and first of all, find your A, B, C, find the vertex and line of symmetry, the y-intercept, and then let's graph it. And then we're going to come back together to see if we have graphed these the same way. All right, so the first thing I did is I identified the A, the B, and the C. And then I plugged it into the vertex formula, which is -b all over 2a, and that equals 1. And then I went ahead and I plugged it in back into the equation there and got that the y value is equal to -1. And then identified the line of symmetry as x is equal to 1. The y-intercept, remember you guys, is this right here, the number without the variables, our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is 0, 2, and then I went ahead and I graphed the equation there. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to graph our last one. Let's identify the A is 1/4, our B is 5, and our C is equal to then 3. All right, so let's find the vertex. We have -b, -5, all over 2 times A. All right, so -5 divided by 2 times 1/4, we end up with -10. So that means that our x value is -10. So let's find our y value then. Y is equal to 1/4 times -10 squared plus 5 times -10, and then we're going to plus 3. All right, when you simplify that, you're going to have y is equal to -22. So it looks like our vertex is at -10, -22. Now it looks like that's going to kind of go off our graph, so we'll do the best we can. So our -10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're going to go all the way down. Let's just say -22 is down right over here, okay? All right, and then our line of symmetry then, it's going to be a straight line up and down here. which is going to be at -10. So our line of symmetry is at -10. And then our y-intercept then, that will be at 3. So 0, 3. So 0, up 3. And then, so you'd end up having this point all the way, probably kind of over this way. And so you'd have this graph, this parabola then, which we completely ran out of room on. But it would look like, probably a little more rounded than that, but you get the idea there. All right, so now we've graphed that one. Let's go on to then example number 2. All right, example number 2. How do I know if the graph is a maximum or if it's a minimum? Well, first of all, let's just note that this is a positive right here. And let's note that this one's going to be a negative. Remember when we had our positive graphs, that they opened going up like this. All right, and with our vertex right here. And then our negative graphs, those flipped over, and they kind of looked like this with our vertex right here. So when we talk about a maximum or a minimum, or remember, maximum is your highest point and your minimum is your lowest point. And so notice, because right here, this is showing our lowest point. This would be a minimum. Where with the negative in front, it's giving us the maximum. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the story problem we have here. It says that the suspension cable between the two towers of the bridge forming this parabola that can be modeled by this graph, and here's this equation where x and y are measured in feet. And then I think that's cut off there, but it should say, what is the height of the cable above the water at its lowest point? So we're looking for then this vertex right here, because that would be the lowest point of that bridge. So let's start then by identifying the A, the B, and the C. So A, our B, and then our C. All right, and so then the next thing we need to do is to find the vertex, so negative B, so 0.37 divided by 2 times all right, so when you do that, you're going to get then, for our x value, it's going to be 1907, so 1,907 feet. So now, remember, when we're talking about the height, we're talking about the y value. So we need to go ahead and plug it then back into our equation right here. So I would then take, I'm trying to save some time here, this is getting to be too long. That's our x squared, and I'm going to plug it in right here. So I plug it back into my formula, and I would end up with 116.16 feet. And so remember, at like our x and our y value, that our y value then is going to be the height. So what is going to be the height of the cable above the water at its lowest point? Well, that is 116.16 feet. So in this lesson, we took a look at how to solve how to graph quadratic functions.